Shalom, my dear friend. In this video, we are going to share a little bit from Parashat Beha'alotcha. This parasha is from Numbers chapter 8, verse 1 up to 12, verse 16. Beha'alotcha. This is a Hebrew word that means when you set up, as in the first part of this Torah portion, when God spoke to Moses to tell Aaron about how he was going to set up the Menorah. This is a very rich Torah portion that teaches us about the following: the dedication of the Levites, the second month Passover for those who would not have been able to celebrate the first month Passover in the month of Nissan, the silver trumpets for assembling the people, the journeying of the children of Israel from Sinai, from the mountain of God, the murmuring of the children of Israel about hardships, and the assembling of 70 elders to help Moses carry the burden of the people, the quails brought in for the people to have meat for a whole month, and the speaking of Miriam and Aaron against Moses' Kushite wife. There is a theme that keeps coming up in this Torah portion in quite a number of verses, but it comes up more literally in Numbers chapter 9 verse 23 and in Numbers chapter 10 verse 13. It teaches us about the divine sovereignty of God and the need for us as people to implement what God speaks. It is a very important concept for us as believers to understand. We will see later in this video how a Roman centurion demonstrated his deep understanding of this concept and even exemplified it with his job, and how Yeshua marveled at this understanding. Okay, let's get into it. Numbers chapter 9 verse 23. At Adonai's word they would encamp, and at the mouth of Adonai they set out. They obeyed Adonai's order by Moses' hand. They obeyed Adonai's order by Moses' hand. Next, let's read Numbers chapter 10 verse 13. So they set out the first time by the mouth of Adonai by Moses' hand. By the mouth of Adonai by Moses' hand. The Hebrew for this is Al Pei Adonai Beyad Moshe. Al is by. Pei is the mouth. Adonai is the Lord. Beyad, by the hand of. Moshe is Moses. Al Pei Adonai Beyad Moshe. The sages teach that by the mouth of Adonai, by Moses' hand, clarifies the exact mechanism of divine command and human execution during Israel's journeys. It highlights the two-tiered system where God provided the decree, represented by the phrase by the mouth, and Moses acted as the human instrument, the hand that implemented it. So an example of Al Pei Adonai, by the mouth of God. This refers to the divine decree signaled through the supernatural. For example, in the wilderness, when the pillar of cloud or the pillar of fire would ascend, they would set out. When it rested, they would encamp. That was a divine decree signaled by God through the supernatural. The lifting of the cloud was recognized as God speaking his command to move. Now let's look at Beyad Moshe, by the hand of Moses. The hand of Moses would represent the human agency, the leadership, the ministry. God never bypassed human leadership. He channeled his instructions through a human mediator. The hand of Moses would also include those who were working under his instruction. As an example, the cloud was the mouth of God that signaled it's time to move. It would then be Moses' hand, including the hands of the Levite priests under his direction, blowing the silver trumpets that actually mobilized the camp into an orderly physical march. So here Moses functioned as the ultimate intermediary. He was the one responsible for teaching people to interpret the cloud, translating God's physical sign into practical obedience. The sages teach that these verses establish the foundational blueprint for how God interacts with the physical world. In this way, we learn that heavenly revelation is not complete on its own. It requires earthly cooperation. So, my friend, the next time you hear a word of wisdom about you, when you hear that word of wisdom, the next thing is that it is now your duty to implement that word into action. You must now diligently do the work to bring it all to pass. In Matthew 8 and Luke 7, we read about a Roman centurion who demonstrated his deep understanding of this heavenly earth principle. He even exemplified it with his own work-related dynamics. Although in this case, it is a prayer for healing that is required. So I will conclude this video by reading from Matthew chapter 8, from verse 5 up to 12. Now when Yeshua came into Capernaum, a centurion came begging for help. Master, he said, my servant is lying at home, paralyzed, horribly tormented. Yeshua said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion said, Master, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. But just say the word and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to this one, go, and he goes. And to another, come, and he comes. And to my servant, do this, and he does it. Now when Yeshua heard this, he marveled and said to those who were following, Amen, I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. Moreover, I tell you that many will come from the east and from the west, and they will recline at table with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be driven out into the outer darkness. In that place will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Yeshua said to the centurion, Go as you have believed, let it be done for you. And the servant was healed in that same hour. These are the dynamics, my friend. When heaven speaks a word, the implementation happens on the earth. In this case, Yeshua spoke and the illness departed from the guy who was sick. The idea is that when God speaks, we do not remain passive, but it is now our duty to act. My friend, may you successfully fashion the word that God speaks into your life so that it may come to pass. Thank you so very much for watching, and all the best.